Welcome. To get started, Richard and I were talking yesterday about he has a King James version of the Bible, and understandably is having a hard time understanding what he's reading. And so I told him about, we use the NRSV in worship, but if you want something, really modern and really just and it comes from the Hebrew and the Greek, and so it's not like it's not a paraphrase, and it's not something that's gone from English to English. Eugene Peterson went back to the original languages, but uses a more modern words. So even if they are not the truest word to the Greek or the Hebrew, it's still the right word.
I got messages in here. I don't know how you got to that page. What did you put in there?
I went to Google.
That's where I am.
And I typed in the message Eugene Peterson.
Oh, okay, that's what I didn't do.
And then I clicked on the first one. And you can probably, if you prefer Amazon, you can probably find it on. I'm sure it's on Amazon. There we go. Eugene H. Peterson.
Yeah, that's a big job. Interpreting the Bible.
Yeah, it's yep. I mean, one of the big problems for for Christianity and for Judaism and for any faith or practice that has the language originating not in your where you live and in your language, you are getting a translation. And so inherently, it's not exactly, no matter what, it's not going to be exactly...
That one?
I don't know what the ministry edition, I mean, they always do different editions. Like the one that I have here pulled up is the numbered edition, which means that when Eugene Peterson originally put this out, he had it never said you were in Genesis or Exodus or John. What's up there? But then people requested, and he came out with an edition where he still doesn't put while you're reading it, you don't know that's verse 5 and where verse 6 starts. But the page at the top will tell you that you're in Numbers chapter 5 with these verses on this page. So you get a general idea, but you don't know verse by verse where you are specifically.
So this is a paperback?
Some are hard.
Yeah, and this is what they're showing me here.
Oh, yeah. Well, then, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm groping.
Yeah. So inherently, you're going to always have a hard time because it's not the original language. Like in English, we have one word for love, and in Greek, there's three main ones, but there's even more than just three. There's agape, and there's eros, and there's filial love. So you've got God's love, you've got romantic love, and you've got friendship love. In English, we just say love. So anyway, inherently, you're going to have those things. And so Eugene Peterson in The Message tries to that's more specific and more detailed, but he puts it in modern language and creates sentences that make sense. Because even when you read the NRSV, sometimes the sentences are still a little disjointed or things like that, and so he really just puts it in a modern way, so that sentences are sentences. And I think he even cuts out, because Paul is notorious for run-on sentences in his letters, and so he kind of breaks them up into logical thoughts. Yeah.
Logical to him.
Yeah. So The Message is a good... I'm not sure why Amazon isn't working right now.
Right here.
But anyway, so there's different versions, and you can pitch which version of The Message you'd like. But I just suggested that to Richard as a very different alternate to the King James version. And something that's a lot easier to read and understand, and be able to kind of get an understanding of what that passage or that book is trying to say.
And you're always going to have other people who are going to interpret the same words in different ways.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's that way.
Yep, which is why when I have my Bible software pulled up here, I've got these little tabs, and I've got the NRSV, and then I click here, and now I'm looking at what the NIV says it is, and what the New King James says, and what the New Living Translation, and it's all the same passage, and so it just pops over to the same passage, and so I can read, and I could keep adding tabs for different Bibles of the Bibles that I have.
Would you like to be confused?
Yes. And I think
there is a parallel Bible too.
Yep, there's parallel Bibles.
All the different.
Well, the reason why this came around to Brian, because I've talked to different people. I'm kind of counseling people at home and
That's
that.
not what I was trying to do.
And I can't memorize stuff that people read chapter and verse of the Bible. My brain doesn't let me do that anymore, and I don't know where to grope my way through ideas of what I should be saying that paralleling out of the Bible. This is where this conversation came from, and this is where, and this path here is kind of where this is all going through, however you want to say that. And because in here it's got the New Testament, Message New Testament, Message Ministry, Promise Book, the Message, and then it goes on. I mean, I'm just going sideways on here, and they just go on and on and on and on and on, all in the same vein sideways.
Right.
And I thought I'd get one, and because I read my Bible's a Catholic Bible, and it's an old one from 1898, I think is where it's published date. Well, it's something I have, and other than the fact that they make the print this big, and I have to wear my glasses, but it has no descriptive, nothing. It's got some numbering sometime on the bottom of the page that relates up and down, or relates over to here. Yeah, but very, very little bit of that, and it's all written where I read it 4 or 5 times, and I look at it and I'm going, you know, and like doing John on mine there, it's like that big. On the regular Bible, it's like half that big. So it's a lot of other stuff that's what's put in there, and so this is kind of where this conversation came from.
Yep. So, for example, this last week we had this story that we had. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans. That's the NRSV. Understandable, but at the same time, you know, what are Gentiles? What are Samaritans? You know, if you're not, you know, if you don't know that lingo, maybe you don't have a study Bible or a lexicon or any other concordance, sometimes that can be hard and difficult to even get past that. And so in the message, it says, Jesus sent his 12 harvest hands, which just a minute ago we heard Jesus referencing the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So now Eugene Peterson is building off that language and saying, and then says, don't begin by traveling to some far off place to convert unbelievers, Gentiles, unbelievers. And don't try to be dramatic by tackling some public enemy. Go to the lost, the confused, people right here. And so instead of saying the lost sheep that have no shepherd, then he just says the lost. So he chooses to use language that is still accurate, but not 100% word for word what the actual Greek and Hebrew say, while conveying the same message. So.
And I actually wanted to ask you on Sunday because this is where I get lost in some of this stuff when I'm trying to convert this stuff to people. Jesus and the 12 disciples are here. He says, go out and talk to the people. So from here to wherever, don't take food from, don't take anything from here to there. But from here to there, are they not talk? And just talk to the chosen ones. Well, from here to there, if it's 10 or 20 or 30 miles, and someplace along the way they're going to be talking to people, are they not talking to those people as Jesus is asking? That to me doesn't make sense.
No,
Do you understand what I'm trying to explain?
I think.
Well, I mean, here we are. We're talking in this group here, and y'all going to go home, which is over that way 12 miles or distance. If you're walking from here to there, you're not going to be talking to people and bringing the scripture of God to them.
Well, you are, but what he's saying is that in their travels, they may, Samaria may curve up into Israel, and so even though it may be the most direct route to go through Samaria, don't do that, because your job right now is not to talk to Gentiles. So take the longer route, stay within Israel, and talk to just
So they're in Israel to start with.
Yes.
I was under the impression they weren't.
No,
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the travels of Jesus and the disciples, you'll see
It's everywhere.
they are everywhere. They are in and out of Israel, and
Yes.
the Samaritans are in Israel because Samaritans believe that they're, in a way, that they're Jewish, but the Jewish pure think that they're not.
Right.
And so there was always that conflict. And so Jesus said, at this time, don't go and talk to the Samaritans either. And that's basically Jesus at this point in the Bible, if I'm getting my references right, in Matthew, Jesus himself has not had any interaction, which I chose not to go there on Sunday, but
Right.
Jesus at that point had not had himself, in front of the disciples, any interactions with Gentiles or Samaritans. And so they've not experienced or been trained in how to talk with and interact with those people. And so Jesus is saying,
No.
this is where you've been trained, go and teach those people. And then later, Jesus goes to Samaria, he talks with the Samaritan
Yes.
woman, he talks to Gentiles, and then now they've had that exposure and that hands-on training, so to speak. And so then when we get Matthew 28 from last week's text, Jesus sends them out into the entire world and says, go therefore to all nations.
Okay.
So it's just if I train you how to fix a sink but not how to fix a toilet, I would not send you on a job to go fix a toilet until you've been
No,
trained.
I understand. I was just trying to walk,
Yep,
because
yep.
Jesus does go and talk to the Gentiles. He does go and talk to Samaritans.
Yep, he just has not yet.
Okay.
And so, again, it's a matter of training, so to speak. So anyway, the message, it's a lot easier to read and understand in general, and compared to the King James, that you will probably feel like night and day.
Well, like again, I was just trying to explain to you how it's my path and I'm trying to do with that.
Yep.
But if you're trying to memorize scripture, it's probably not the best.
Well, I can't.
Well,
I
yeah.
try, but I can't. It just isn't staying.
Yeah.
But when I
Well,
hear people talking, I can actually go right and just say word to word right behind them, because I read that whole segment of that Bible probably 100 times, and I kind of skirted my way kind of partway through the Old Testament, which is pretty interesting. I think I'm halfway into that right again, my second time, but I can't remember it. It's not that part's not
Well,
staying inside.
memorization and remembering themes and the points of stories. Like, I can't quote from the book of Job for you, but I can tell you what the point of the story of Job is.
Mm-hmm.
And so remembering themes and key interactions or key points within the story, I think oftentimes are more important than necessarily remembering a specific Bible verse. Unless you're trying to say, well, at this point, and thank goodness now you've got the internet, or I've got my Bible software programs, and so
Well,
then
I've been
I
doing
just
this at home too, but it's
Yep.
talking to people going like this, and then,
But I mean, that's part of what Bible study is. I mean, if they're coming for Bible help, then they need to understand.
not to come from
You know
help.
what I mean?
I'm trying
Well, I
to blend the Bible into it. I'm trying to prove a better path where it's just stuff out of the Scripture,
Yep.
as opposed to, which is kind of where I'm saying it, but from this path. And I mean, I'm talking to people that understand that they've been to the church, they don't anymore, got too much other garbage in the way, and other stuff that's causing them a problem. I'm trying to blend them into one space, saying, if you're not getting help from anybody, maybe you should turn around and let's just stop and pray to Jesus, and let's find a path, because he will never leave you alone. You just need to talk to him. Is the path I'm trying to go, because that's the only path I know how to do, if that makes sense.
Something along this line, but it's a little further even than you, because I've read the Torah
Mm-hmm.
on the scroll, the real Torah,
Mm-hmm.
and Jewish people wrote that a long time ago, and the Jewish people of today, even there's some words in it well, I think that means rib. No, it means side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in other places it means side. Therefore, but everybody wants to use rib.
Mm-hmm.
So what it really says, even today, for the people who wrote it, to say that this is what it says,
Well, yeah, I mean, even from, the Greek that people speak in Greece and write is not the Greek that was the authors of the Bible wrote in.
No.
And same thing with Hebrew. The Hebrew was changed
But
dramatically.
When they wrote the Torah, there were no A-E-I-O-U's.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Yes.
none. It's really,
Mhm.
really hard to read.
Yep, which is why Yahweh, we say Yahweh and we spell it Yahweh. But back, it was just the Y, the W, and the H.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed, and for Yahweh specifically, you were
Didn't
not
say
allowed
it.
to write
They
vowels.
didn't say or write it.
Nope. But nowadays, yes, they now have dots above and below and
Yeah,
inside, and
yeah.
those are the
Have an
vowels.
I.
Which I don't even know how I passed Hebrew in seminary, but so yeah, language
You
and
don't use it in everyday.
technology,
Keep
all
up
of
with
that. No, I do not. Has come a long way.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many of you heard about this, but it's causing quite the uproar. Amazon purchased Whole Foods
Yeah.
for
Yes.
$13.4 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just curious about the grocery industry is apparently in a panic.
Costco.
Costco's in a panic. All of the like Kroger and all of the parent companies. I'm trying to think of what they all
Was
are.
it an ally
But
that
anyway.
bought out,
Yeah. But they're all their stocks took a huge dive over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if any of you have any thoughts or just a little discussion if you want to have about it.
Well, why? I heard the same thing. Why are they in such a big panic? Is it because Amazon will have such buying power? Is that the only reason? So they can reduce prices?
I think it's because now they're no longer a virtual market, but now they are a physical box
okay.
store
But they've
market.
changed their
Model.
footprint.
Yep.
So could this go along, and I don't know where that store is, the one that they bought out?
Whole Foods.
Yeah.
It's in 40 states.
Yeah.
It's,
There's some in
I can explain this.
PW.
I can explain this well because I've been involved with the food industry, and like when Kroger's bought Fred Meyer's, a very good example. If you watch the transition before that, Fred Meyer's went out and bought these different stores, but prior to that, those particular stores went out and bought all the smaller stores down to Red Apple and on going down the line, the little chains. And it's a program buying structure where they go out and the parent company, and I've been very much involved with this, the parent company talks to this company, all these companies and says, we're buying you, but you buy this, you buy this, you buy this, and then goes down the line and buys them and walks them up one ladder at a time, one step. And as they do that, if you look at that, you look at the food prices as they change by pennies or nickels or dimes or whatever, from each company as it stair steps up, it increases their value commercially to when you get back to the parent company, they've already put this footprint down there. As example, Kroger's. The best example I know is Kroger's. Because I dealt with Fred Meyer's, I was a distributor. They bought from us or through our delivery side. They bought all of their stuff through us because we were that side of the store. And when Kroger's come in, they said, because they owned the entire footprint after that, right to the end, as far down as you go, which includes buying, like Fred Meyer's when they bought out Albertson and all those other little stores. They're all owned by Fred Meyer's, or now Kroger's.
No,
They own all of the growing areas that these people own also. So they started, and their 10-year plan, if you wish, was this is what the food value is here, and as we bring it up here, we change it here, and it changes this way. And it's a progressive step up and down the ladder to that. And that's how they do that. And It's going in and buying behind the stock that people don't see. They buy this stuff, and so they have controlling interests, and they productively. If you go to, and I know this one real well, because we did all of the buying for all of the soups and canned vegetables for Fred Meyer's. Bought their stuff through us out of Boise, Idaho, and we had a warehouse that wasn't big enough per day to handle all the food that Fred Meyer's had that came from the east, or pot that they were buying at about 1 cent a tin. Manufacturer's cost was about the price of the container. And what does a can of pot cost now? And I'm just, but that's, they ended here, but they started over there, and they progressively forced everybody to tie together, and that's exactly what happened here.
So I think another part of it, there might be, I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but I think some of the other factors are, we've talked before about how Amazon has been looking at bringing basically unmanned stores to the market, and so maybe buying Whole Foods is a step in that direction. So there's one thing. And then another thing is a lot of the side services that Amazon does, for example, like their instant video service and some of these other things, are actually, they lose money on certain services, but they get you into the ecosystem, and they make a lot more money on other services, so they can undercut, for Amazon Instant Video, for example, so that it is competitive with Netflix and gets you in the ecosystem. And that's why they offer so many free things with Amazon Prime. They're losing money on that, but then they get you in the ecosystem and get you to buy things. So it could be that now owning Whole Foods, they can cut prices at Whole Foods and maybe make a little less money there, but then they're also driving the other companies either out of business or causing them to undercut, and so it could cause this spiral of, Darina.
Did you happen to see the article about Ease, the company Ease that is growing? It's making marijuana deliveries.
In California.
Oh no, I haven't.
He actually said he's going to be the next Amazon.
He's going to be huge.
I can believe it because they have the backing.
Yeah, they have all these millions and billions of dollars of people in California that want to support them.
Don't want us, yeah.
Yeah,
And that's how, you get these startup companies
and service, and they just
dial up and you get your pot delivered.
Your medications,
Well, they're trying to do that here, if I remember correctly. Also, is it not supposed to be occurring here, or you can do just what you're saying?
This article was about California.
Yeah.
No, but I think wasn't that something where they tried to bring that into Seattle earlier this year about a phone-up service for marijuana for your pot delivery, if I remember correctly, maybe about 2 or 3 months back ago, and I don't remember the company name. No, but that's all I meant. Yeah.
Going back to the Amazon deal, it's something I don't know about, but I just bought some stuff on the weekend. They ask you deliver it to your house, or do you want it delivered to a drop site or whatever it is? And there's one in Belfair, and there's one in Olympia, and what's that?
So they've got that was another thing. I think this is another one of, before they bought Whole Foods, they've been doing, if you live in like Seattle or New York or Portland or Los Angeles, they actually have not only same-day delivery of goods from their website in general, but they've got a fresh delivery service too. So you can buy fresh groceries directly from Amazon and get them delivered. And maybe in some of the not quite so large cities, they've got centers where they deliver it that day, but not to your doorstep, but to a center, and then you go and purchase and pick it up there. Because again, they're
well, they're going to be happy with what you said in Belfair, because calling them not quite so large a city. So you want a head of cabbage, and you buy it on Amazon, and then within a day they get it to the drop box in
the
Belfair.
same day. Same day, yeah, with their fresh service.
So if what I want on I don't know if it was a hacksaw or a book or whatever, I bought several things, and it said this you want it picked up in Belfair? I could have said yes and then just gone that day or the next morning to Belfair. and bought it.
Possibly, yeah. Yep, because there's probably some kind. If it's not fresh food, it's probably some kind of warehouse nearby,
Yeah.
and then they just someone in that warehouse then gets all of those orders for that day and just drives over themselves in like a van they own instead of some, using UPS or whoever they use to distribute, and then they just drive it over real quick.
Then that'll be, and again, that's what I'm trying to explain is they're figuring out, I'm talking about groceries, but if you, and I know this because it happened to us,
Mm-hmm.
when we got forced out by Fred Meyer's and Fred Meyer's did their own stuff, they brought their own trucks in, or they brought in some other company that they owned, the transportation side of it, came in, picked up their product, and was delivered to wherever they wanted it, just as exactly what you're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
This has actually been going on for a long time, but in a different than you going and phoning and saying, I need a loaf of bread and a pound of butter, what have you delivered. But it's been going on commercially for a long, long time, where companies down the line there. I dealt with Super Value, which you don't see here, which is a Canadian company like Safeway. And I know the owner, I've dealt with him personally. And he came here, Fife, Tacoma, there's a warehouse down there, and he bought as many small grocery chains as he could before, or as Fred Meyer's was buying, they were in there buying right behind them, buying everything else they could. And they got stopped because Fred Meyer's Kroger's came in and said, no, we own all of this, and stopped them from buying. Because I used to deliver to their warehouse also. And we had our company in Canada to deliver to all those guys until they got enough of a footprint down where they were buying the little trucking companies that stopped us from doing what we were doing. We could get to the border and our delivery was to a warehouse, end of discussion, and they went out just like Fred Meyer's did here with Kroger's stuff. They bought their own little companies that they melted into their own for right down to vans for deliveries or pickups. Vans, 1-ton box trucks, etc.
Sounds like the delivery services are gonna be awfully busy.
Well, it's the matter of owning. If they can,
UPS
if you can make a
What
penny
else is
on the
there?
dollar,
and
enough to
services.
make enough pennies to cover your
It is.
costs, the rest of it doesn't matter.
Do they handle food
I
and
don't know,
stuff?
I went into Walmart last week and I was looking for an item that they didn't have in my size, and the clerk happened to be a clerk, said to me, you can order it online and it'll be here in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah. And cheaper than you can buy it in the store.
No shipping charge.
Yeah.
You can
There's
get
a lot
it
of
at the store.
stores do that.
Site to store or whatever you want to.
Yes.
Interesting article last night on TV about how the delivery services have affected the recycling industry.
Mm-hmm.
And in San Francisco, the proportion of cardboard has tripled.
Yep.
They're doing 100 tons of cardboard
Oh.
a day in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
They showed the raw stream, and you could see the Amazon boxes coming
Just-
down.
I believe it's taken
But,
me until now to catch up with my recycling bin, with the
Yeah.
cardboard I've
I-
had to recycle since we moved.
At Christmas time, we have to ration out the recycle bin. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
In this same one, and they were talking
Yeah.
about packaging is a huge deal, both from the standpoint of cost, but also recovery.
Mm-hmm.
The little plastic bags and all that stuff that come in. But interestingly, in the segment, they had a video of a woman opening her refrigerated Amazon box that had celery and lettuce and fresh groceries in it. But it was at space age insulation
Yeah.
packaging inside the cardboard box.
Yeah, we got that once recently. I don't think it was from Amazon, but it was like it was bizarre. It was different than it wasn't just an ice pack
Right.
inside with like styrofoam. It was a soft material.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that. And I think in general, you're right, Mark. Especially recycling and places like that are trying to catch up with, because these things happen so fast, and we're not able to, and ethically too, trying to figure out. Someone comes out with a product, it suddenly becomes a smash hit, and now then we're left, not people are left to try to then bring these companies or these businesses up to speed on, the thing that just popped into my head is the Keurig and the single serve cups, and it not until I think they have until like 2020 to kind of become more recyclable. Because I mean, though you talked about the Amazon, that's what made me think of Keurig was you talking about all the Amazon boxes showing up in the recycling center. Well, the Keurig cups, the K cups, are not recyclable unless individual companies have chosen to go that route. And I know some have. We have some of those, but that industry has just created a whole bunch of garbage in terms of plastic that is just showing up in trash heaps because of that.
And the thing with plastic, speaking of, and I can't see any, like that plastic garbage bag right there, if you took that to the garbage dump and said, I have a box of those, do I put them in plastic? They're going to tell you, no, it's garbage, because it's not recyclable. And I think that's what you're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
And because I take, from where I live, and I take up cardboard and paper once a week to the garbage dump. I end up with about 2 feet in the back of my van. And I say to the girl, it's all just cardboard or paper, it's just going there, and she smiles, and I go. And then you look at the sign, and it says, not this, but these 3 things.
How many log trucks do you think 100 tons of cardboard would?
Well, I can tell
It's
you
a
what,
lot.
I can tell you what 66,500 pounds of dry cardboard fits on a 40-20 trailer. I can tell you that because I've moved tons of that stuff over the years. And when it goes before, like now you take it to a recycler or whatever you take it to, before you would take it to a pulp mill. And I'm speaking from a huge experience. We did all the way down to California, up and down, pulling trailer loads of cardboard, 40-20 maxi cells. And we'd go to a pulp mill and unload it, where they take it and recycle. They used to recycle it that way until they started changing. There's this kind of cardboard or this kind of paper, and you get it in a bale, and you don't, there it is, you pick it up. Or we, as we would do, go to different places and forklift cardboard up to the height of our headache rack, all the way back on the trailer, strap the hell out of it with boards and tarp, cover it. And you don't know what it is, it's cardboard because it's brown, or almost brown.
Mm-hmm.
And take it, and when well, I can't speak because it's been 8 years since I've worked with this, so I'm out of the loop. But I know then, if it was the wrong colored cardboard, we used to take down to below Portland, down to the pulp mill down there, and we used to make sure it was delivered and it was dark. Because all we wanted them to do was take the stuff off the trailer. Because if they saw it in the daytime, they say, no, we don't take that, or we don't take that. Well, and where they just take it, goes into a conveyor, goes that way, gets shredded, and goes into a pile over there, which then eventually gets skirted through and they recycle it. But the new stuff, there's too much, there's wax in it, there's plastic on it or in it, and other different chemicals that they can't use, and it ruins a whole batch. So when they take it now, they're selective, which is plastics the same. And I know the gal over there, when I used to take plastic in, like those plastic things for vegetables, those aren't recyclable, but it's plastic. But it says over there, no. And then plastic bags like that kind, no. Black plastic bags, no. Because they're not recyclable.
So, we got a new telephone coming out?
Well, this unfortunately is not. It is usable in the U.S., but not at 4G LTE speeds. But I just thought it was really cool, and so I wanted to just tell you about it really quick. But it's a modular phone. So as we know, almost ever since cell phones became mainstream, even then, the only thing that you could really do with your phone was change the battery. And nowadays, most of those have disappeared from the market as well, trying to make them as thin and light as possible. But this is the Fairphone. It's modular, meaning that you can basically, here we go, explore. you can basically exchange parts and upgrade parts, not just the battery, but so you want to upgrade the camera. Then they make new parts and they upgrade the camera to the next, greatest megapixel or better lenses or things like that. And the screen cracks, you can buy the replacement screen and put the screen in yourself. It's built with the Android operating system on it. I think one of them, or maybe all of them, have here we go, 2 SIM slots, which means that you could have 2 different carriers, or one for.
If you're international. Or
Yep, exactly. International, you don't have to switch out SIM slots if you don't want to.
Oh, really?
And then the micro SD card for extra storage. And they've got, for anyone who wants to really have fun with it, they've got if you click on the pre-order, you can pick from a whole host of colors and different.
Except you have to pay in pounds.
You do have to pay. Well, yes. It's from Europe, and so it will work in Europe, and you get your 4G LTE. And then I looked because I think it was under the FAQs. I went to the FAQ part, the support, and then FAQs, and they actually do they send you to another website, but on this website they do specifically address the U.S. and say that 3G networks will work. It will pick up 3G networks, but because the cell signals are different from here in Europe for the most part, the way the signal is designed, it only works for 3G here, which still works, but you just won't get if you have a 4G phone, it won't be nearly as fast in terms of accessing websites and different things. Unless you're connected to Wi-Fi, then that won't matter.
That's $673.
$673, which really, if you think about how much you actually pay for your phone, it's right in line with that. So you can choose from a whole host of colors and
you're buying future, or you're buying
flexibility, sustainability. The ability to change out the battery whenever you want, or like I said, the lens, or maybe you want a couple of different backs of the phone, and so you buy a couple different colors, and you can mix and match the colors of your phone. Which probably, which isn't necessarily what this is designed for, but I'm sure that. And then here's spare parts: display, camera, battery, the core. So basically, what Apple calls a system on a chip. Because everything is basically designed on one chip.
It's a Apple product?
No. I'm just saying Apple, I know Apple language, and they call it a system on a chip. Basically saying that everything that the phone does is built on that one chip that you see here.
That's the 2 including, and I'm just trying, because I can't get what you have coming up in mine fast enough. But does that mean, so that you've got the 2 slots for your 2 different
SIM
SIM card things? Because I have a phone that I have in Canada for Canada to the United States, and it's supposed to work here going the other way, but it doesn't, because Verizon doesn't accept whatever I don't know the footprint of whatever that is. And I've contacted them 3 or 4 times with my Washington phone saying, I have this phone, this is my information, it's not working here, can you help me? And I get no reply. It's from their big carrier up in Canada. But what you're saying here is I could take a SIM card out of my Canadian phone and put it in this one, and it should work.
It should.
Not that I want to spend $600.
Yeah, why don't you buy one and then
test it out for us. So, and as you can see here are all the, not that that's vitally important, but these are all the different parts that you can individually replace. And I'm assuming theoretically, as new parts, better technology would come out, that you could then buy.
Makes sense.
The newer, better, if you wanted a better camera or better speakers or something, or that part just stopped working, instead of buying a whole new phone, or instead of paying a ton of money to have it replaced by someone else, you can just go on their website and for £1.20, or a euro, that's not pounds, euro. A euro 20. Yeah, they're
That's
yours.
about what, 190 or something
Uh,
like that.
But anyway, I mean, $2. Let's say $2. You get a brand new earpiece that maybe you got water in it or something, dirt or something,
You don't have to do it
and
all.
you don't have to buy a whole new phone. You don't have to spend $100 to get it replaced. You can just pop it open, pop it out, pop the new one in. I mean,
Which makes a whole
that's
lot of sense.
oversimplifying it, but that essentially that's what you're doing. You need to make sure that you're grounded and
So
all of
if,
those other
if
things.
you
But
can buy those parts, then there will be some company who will also have all of them on a shelf somewhere where you'll be able to just bring your phone in and pay him an additional $10 on top of the cost.
probably not here in America, at least not at this point. But when I was going to the support page, it did say that you could, or maybe it was the purchase page. It said also look for, if you want to buy it in store, and then you could click the Fairphone 2, which is their newest one, isn't out yet, so you can pre-order it. But the Fairphone 1 is out. But yes, you could probably go to a physical store also and either buy the phone and or the accessories that you want for it. So it's just kind of a cool model and a great idea and something totally different that I'd never even heard of before.
Well, you know that
So-
Apple and everybody else, if they could do this and it hits, they're going to do that too. Have to.
They'll buy it out and shut it down.
Well, yeah, that's another model.
I saw this morning on it, I didn't read the article, so I'll click on the internet with a news flash news. I don't remember what state it was. Colorado, I think. They wanted to ban kids from owning smartphones. It was just one of these sliding things. So I could have hit on it and
Yeah.
read the whole thing. So I think maybe kids are getting too dummied up on telephones or too hung up on telephones.
Yeah.
There's something about
It'll never happen.
restricting kids' use of smartphones or something like that.
But how are they gonna do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
And then
it
what's
sounds good, and politically it sounds good,
But what's a smartphone? Are we talking an Apple?
Well,
I mean,
it
just
doesn't matter
laughing.
right now.
You're talking Apple or all the way down the road.
They
Every
can
phone's
do
a
it the same
smartphone.
way as they've done it. Okay, if you get to ride a bicycle, you gotta have a helmet on.
Colorado group wants to ban the sale of smartphones for kids younger than 13. I don't even
Ban
want
the
it.
sale of them.
Yes.
Oh, so they can still have one, but they
Parents
can't buy one.
buy
Yeah.
That means grandma, grandpa.
Well, I don't. I
mom,
mean,
dad.
again, that's just the title. Who knows if
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like maybe it really is a ban, and that if police see someone and they, how old are you? I mean, of course, then you don't have IDs at age 13
Yeah.
typically, so you could
So
say
they
you're
take it
13.
away.
Prove it.
Say you're 13. I don't know. So, but anyway,
What's your
yeah,
mom
maybe
and
it
dad's
is. They
phone
just
number?
can't. A kid cannot go in and buy one, which doesn't make sense though, because you have to have credit and all of that to be able to. They run a credit check on you every time you set up an account.
In order to buy one, it has
Yeah.
to turn it on, so you'd have to have a phone number. So yeah, don't they? What did they ask me that? They want to know your social security number.
Yeah, 'cause they run a credit
'Cause
check.
You're setting up a
Mm-hmm.
phone account.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I don't know. I mean, we can. Yeah.
that,
So if you're interested, take a quick little read about it. Well, there was I read I didn't read it again. I saw the headline too, but there's a school or a school district in California. This was a couple months ago that was banning. Shoot, what was it? Some school childhood game. I don't know. I don't think it. Maybe it was tag, but they were banning something like tag from the school because kids were getting too rough about it.
tag football.
No, it was something very simple like Red Rover or tag or something.
Wasn't that was
So-
handball, wasn't it? That they said the one is that the one you stand in the gym and you fire the ball at somebody at the wall, if I remember correctly. Was it not that one?
No, it was in like a very generic outdoor game, and they were
But
So-
they encourage people to get out and be out.
so. All right, so those are the.
One down.
Sounds like a balloon. Anything anyone here wanted to talk about?
Yes, I would like to know, is it best to turn off your computer at night or let it sleep?
Best would be to turn it off. Sleep is fine, but for a couple of reasons, it's better just for the computer to be off and not always running. in terms of the lifespan and the health of it. But also, I mean, by shutting it down, you are disconnecting it from the internet. And so you're also, it's good. Thank you. You're also protecting it from receiving viruses as well.
But all of your big downloads
Your
from
updates.
Microsoft and stuff come in on mine.
Well, yes,
At
there.
At night, yeah.
But you can also, I don't know if you still can, but you can say when you want it,
Yeah.
the updates to come in. So if you can have it on. But anyway, I mean, I think those would be the two main reasons why to shut your computer down, would be to prevent just viruses from coming on. The less you're connected, the less susceptible you are. But it's healthier to just shut down your device. Which is also why they say for the health of a cell phone battery and a cell phone in general, it's good to let it go completely off, meaning just run your battery dry once a month.
Okay, with my phone, I went to Verizon over this, and I said, "This is what's going on." They said, "When do you charge your phone?" I said, "I plug it in my car, leave it there." They said, "Don't.
Yep.
Let it get down to when it gets to the." It's low battery warning on my phone comes, I think, at 10%.
Yeah,
They
it's
said
20
that's
and
when
10.
you plug it in, which is what I do, which is in the nighttime usually. Well, like when I go to bed around 9 or 10 o'clock, and it's usually saying, "I'm done." I plug it in there because they said for my phone, that's one of the reasons it wasn't lasting long enough through the daytime, because I was keeping it charged up, and I'm slowly bringing the battery back now, so it actually lasts right through from 6 in the morning till about 10 at night before it comes on, whereas before it was 4 o'clock. Hello.
Yeah.
And
Well, it also depends on, there's some days where I hardly touch my cell phone because I'm so busy doing other things, and I come home in the evening and I've got 70% of
Yes.
my battery left. And there's others days where I'm out and about and I'm checking my phone a lot with emails and texts and things like that. And I get home at the end of the day and I've got 20% left. So it depends on usage too. But yeah, once a month you should just, if you
so you're
if
saying
you
go
have
to
had
zero?
yeah, because that completely discharges your phone. The battery completely discharges, and that's healthy for the phone to do. And then you plug it back in and you let it charge all the way up. Don't unplug it, and let it charge all the way up to 100%. And yeah, I mean, ideally you don't want to. I do it, so I'm not saying it's horrible, but ideally, yes, you should not leave your phone plugged in overnight. If you're really want to save your phone for the battery for a really long time and you're really concerned about it, they do suggest not leaving it plugged in overnight. It's not as bad now because they've got a lot of phones, especially the higher end ones, know once it's charged, they'll do trickle charging so that it stays 100%, but it's not fully sending a charge the whole time. But and leaving it plugged in all the time is just unhealthy because, even if you use like 5% of your battery and then you plug it back in because you want it 100% for the rest of the day, that's not good because every time you charge your battery, it's considered a charge, and your phone degrades your battery degrades every time you charge it.
Isn't your laptop then basically the same thing?
It's exactly the same way. Yeah, which is why I do suggest. I mean, I can't, and Mark and Bill's can't. I don't think Bill's can. Can you remove the battery from your laptop? No. But if you do have a laptop and you use it like a desktop at home, or it's always on and always plugged in, and you can remove the battery, take the battery out. There's no reason to have the battery plugged in because the same thing. I discovered that the hard way with my college laptop. I always left it plugged in, writing papers and doing things, and I always had the battery in. And eventually, when I, like a year and a half later, and I would go and take it somewhere and not have a place to plug it in, like a coffee shop, the battery would drain like in an hour and a half. And that's because that whole time I was having the battery charge up and it was deteriorating the life of the battery to a point where eventually, and I eventually got rid of it at that point, but it didn't last for a half hour without being plugged in. So yeah, so if you have a laptop and you're using it like a desktop and you have the ability to remove the battery, just remove the battery. And then just remember to put it back in if you are going to unplug it. Otherwise, it'll be just like a desktop and shut off. So, yep.
So like my laptop, I use at home as a desktop, but I use mine. I usually end up by going to my easy chair and sitting there in front of the TV doing stuff for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and I've got a half a charge left in my laptop. My laptop's 8 years old.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Well, no, I'm just saying that I usually, I keep waiting for it to come up, like the thing on the bottom. I click on it and I'm looking at it, it's got 65%. I'm going, really good. And I let it. Am I doing it wrong when I plug it in? I'm 30% or 40% on my.
No, that's fine. No, I mean you're talking like you get in your car and your battery's still at 80%, and there's really, part of you says, well, I want as much battery in it as possible. Just to ensure that later it doesn't drain. But I mean, you're really at 80%. You're doing more harm by charging your battery.
Well, yeah,
the lifespan of your battery in general than just letting it continue to discharge.
And I'm going to take my iPad in and I'm going to get them the new screen and battery in for $100.
All right.
I made the decision. Well, I need to find a place to do it. I'm concerned about Battery Plus because the guy was pretty snarky with me, so I'd probably take it to Apple and Tacoma. That's the only one I know.
That is the closest authorized retailer.
Well, I'm just thinking and just saying, put a lens in it. I don't know. And I can't remember who here. No, Dorina, do you have an little Apple Pad, right? Smaller than this one?
No.
Or no?
They have a full-sized iPad, not the mini.
Anyways, I know and they're too small. They're too small. This
The mini,
and I don't want to spend $600 for something that this is giving me the same thing unless the Androids aren't right.
Well, this is $319 or $329.
Where did you get that one at?
I got this from it was $319 at Costco for the 32 gig.
See, and I looked at that and I keep thinking it's too.
It's the same exact size as yours.
Oh.
Well, physically it's a little bit smaller, but the actual retail screen size that you get is exactly the same. It's 9.7-inch screen size. There's no difference whatsoever. In fact, actually, the new 10.5-inch iPad Pro that came out at the developers conference 2 weeks ago is only the slightest bit bigger than the 9.7-inch actual footprint, but it's 10.5-inch screen space. But that one is $649. So they once again decreased the size of the bezels.
So this part here, this is all smaller then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at mine. Just yours and mine.
Oh, yours a 1/4 inch.
Yeah. So the sides are about the same, but the top and bottom bezels are much different. So so they're able to decrease the entire footprint of the iPad by a little bit, and then decrease the bezels and get the exact same screen size.
So if I go and get one of those, because I can get one at Costco.
Yep, for $319 plus tax.
Yeah. And then everything I have on here, Apple already has. I don't have to do anything from this to that, right?
As long as it's been updated to iCloud, yes. Or you plug it into your laptop and back it up to your laptop using iTunes. Just this cable right here.
But you plug that into this one.
To your current one. Plug it into the iPad or the laptop. Open up iTunes. Click the backup button. And then when you get the new one, you plug it into iTunes and you click the restore button. iOS 11, though, is pretty cool. When that comes out in the fall, there's actually a feature when you get a new device, phone or iPad, or I think it's just the mobile devices. When iOS 11 comes out, there's actually a button or a thing that comes up on your new device that says, "I'd like to transfer from my old device," and it just automatically does it right next to each other, device to device, instead of choosing from an iCloud backup or. Yep, they're just trying to. I mean, the iCloud is handy, but at the same time, not everyone uses iCloud, and not everyone knows that iCloud is a thing to be able to back things up. And so I think they're going one step further to make it even easier for the everyday user to be able to
figure out how to do iCloud on here then.
Or just plug it into your computer and back it up with iTunes. Yeah. Yep. The really cool thing about the 10.5-inch iPad Pro is that because it's 10, the reason why they chose 10.5 inches is that both the virtual keyboard and the keyboard that you would, if you choose to attach a physical keyboard to it, are full size, just like as if you were typing on a laptop. So that's part of the reason why they went with the 10.5-inch screen size. So, but that one's $649, so that is a lot more money.
That'll probably drop by the time they get it out onto the market, though, right?
No, it's already on the market.
Oh,
It's already in stores, online, everywhere. No, $649 is the price. This is $300 cheaper because,
smaller,
well, it's a little bit smaller. I mean, 9.7, 10.5, that's
half an inch.
1/2 inch. But no, it's more of the iPad Pro has stereo speakers, so you get a full stereo experience. No matter what way you rotate it, it auto senses and will give you the best angled stereo experience. You can use the Apple Pencil with it if you want to, use as a stylus. It's got a.
I've never learned how to use that. It's been there since I bought this. Well, I just changed the pad, this thing, but I've never figured out how to use that. I don't even know how to set it up on there.
You don't set it up.
Why not?
It's probably just. Yeah. No, this little thing has the same pressure and everything like sensing mode for an iPad as it, and so it thinks it's a pencil, or it thinks it's just your finger.
Yeah,
That's all this. Well, I mean, and you could scribble with it in like the notepad or something, but that's all it does. But with like the actual Apple Pencil, which is quite expensive, I think it's like $200.
I got this one. I got this. They said came with this.
Yeah, but the Apple Pencil is designed for like if you want to do artwork. If you want to actually draw instead of on a canvas or a piece of paper, it's that exact. And it also the iPad Pro will, whereas our iPads will not reject your palm. So if your palm touches the screen, then it'll think you're trying to write with your palm. The Apple Pencil has some technology built in that when you put your palm down, it will only sense the pencil. But the processor is better. It's got True Tone for the screens, so that like our iPads or our phones and screens on our laptops just reflect the white that it's projecting, whereas the True Tone for the Pros will sense the ambient color of whatever room you're in and actually kind of change the tone of the whites so that it's not quite so harsh, which is what our eyes do. And so it's obviously not as exact as our eyes, but it does a good job of trying to change those kind of colors for you. So the iPad Pro has a lot of extra features that are Pro in mind, and the new Pros are kind of, they're not meant to replace a laptop necessarily for people who really want that laptop experience, but for some people who just want something that's both portable and has many of the features of a laptop, the Pros are a good replacement, and they're right in the price. I mean, at $629, you can probably get a low-end laptop that is cheaper, but it also probably won't last as many years in terms of peppiness and speed. After 2 years, some low-end laptops after 2 years will probably start crawling along, whereas an iPad can really stay fast for a number of years. And so they are for people who want to check their email, want to check Facebook, want to play like solitaire and some other games. I mean, buying an entire laptop for something like that or a desktop nowadays, in my opinion, doesn't make sense.
Are they cellular and non-cellular both?
Yes.
Either or?
Yeah. You can get the Wi-Fi only or the Wi-Fi and cellular models.
What's unlimited data cell phone service cost these days?
It honestly depends on how many people are on the plan. If you look any of them, if you see the commercials for Verizon, and because Verizon's trying to really get into that, well, they have, but they've been really pushing it. But was it Sprint that was first, or one of the smaller companies was first and was really touting the unlimited, and that it's only $39.99 a month, but it's $39.99 a month if you have No. If you have 4 or more people on your cell phone plan.
Mhm.
If you only have 2, because I looked, I was like, 39, that's cheaper than the 10 gigs that Becca and I do. And I looked, and it's like 70
Is that
something.
Each? In other words, 39 each user?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's like,
No, that's per phone. That's per phone.
no, because
You've got
it's,
4 people on there. It's either $29 or $39 per phone.
No.
Because I just saw that on well, scrolling through here. I get those stupid advertisements on here, and maybe it's not Sprint.
yeah,
But-
and each one does it a little differently. But all I know is that if you don't have 4 people or more, the price jumps significantly for the unlimited plan to add it.
2 cats on.
Well, I was,
I know. Well, yeah, add Aubrey and
5.
no, I don't. I mean, I was looking at the Colorado thing of 13 and younger. No cell phone. I'm like, I don't want to give my daughter a cell phone until she's in high school either. I mean,
Well, I thought she was using one of your old cell phones for games and all that other stuff.
she uses an iPad, but
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought she had a
yeah,
phone.
no, she does not have a phone. No, she does not need a phone. And I mean, obviously now, but I mean,
No,
even
I just meant for the games. I thought
Yeah.
she was doing that. I thought that you'd said before that you gave her the phone for doing games or
no.
something of that.
Well,
nature.
sometimes we give her our phone when if we're out and about, and just we need her to focus on something else for 5 minutes so we can talk. We'll hand her our phone real quick, and then, but no,
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought.
No, yeah, Mark.
Here's a your freebie for the day. You talking about the little share button on Safari.
Yeah, right up
Or you
here.
share a web page. So I've been hitting the paywall on the Washington Post on
Mm-hmm.
the 3rd of the month. But I learned that if you try to email the page,
Yeah.
about 90% of the time it unlocks the paywall.
Huh.
You can get behind it to see the web page. So if you want to read the Washington Post, try sharing it with somebody.
Oh, okay.
It's when you
Subscribe?
Yeah, it used to
No,
be the
it's when
Lithium,
you,
the
let me-
Lithium would block
let me
me.
show you.
Yeah.
But now,
Uh,
for whatever reason, I can go straight in and I'm not paying for
Well,
it.
and they may have changed their
Yeah.
policy.
But I found out if you kept clicking it, then eventually you can get by their firewall.
Get passed
Yeah,
through.
but now I just, I read the Lithium without supposedly being charged
That's the paywall.
for what it's worth.
So if I went, would I be better to go this
So
route
they want you to
than
pay
getting this fixed?
to read
I just like
whatever it
because
is.